Have you ever felt that way that follows so many of us when we sit down to create or make art? It's not the heaviness of the paper or the drag of the pencil across the page. It's more subtle, almost invisible. The pressure we put on ourselves to make something perfect. Perfectionism is sneaky. It disguises itself as discipline or having high standards. It tricks us into thinking that if we just try hard enough, the drawing on the page will look exactly like we imagined it in our heads. But usually that's not how art works, and sometimes it can lead to frustration. And maybe that's the point. So join me once again on a quest to become a better artist while we explore and talk about perfectionism. You might be wondering what perfectionism looks like in practice. Most of the time, it's subtle. It's barely noticeable. It's the hesitation before making the first line because you're afraid of ruining the page. It's the endless tweaking of a sketch, erasing and redrawing the same line over and over again. Chasing a version of the drawing that never actually arrives. It's the frustration you feel when you look at your art, always thinking it can and should be better. It's that feeling of comparing someone else's work with yours and thinking to yourself, I can't post mine yet. It's not ready. It's not good enough. One day when I'm ready, one day when I perfect every little detail about it. Perfectionism promises control. It convinces us that if we're careful enough, precise enough, obsessed enough, we can avoid mistakes altogether. But the paradox is, mistakes are the very thing that makes art feel alive. Without them, everything looks flat, soulless, and mechanical. You might be wondering where perfectionism comes from. Because most of us didn't invent perfectionism on our own. We learned it through 100 tiny ways growing up. Maybe a teacher praised us only when our lines were neat. Maybe someone laughed at a drawing we made as a kid. Personally, I was always pushed as a child to never color outside of the lines. Like that was something terrible to do and a huge mistake that can never be undone. To this day, I can't stand if there's a tiny dot outside of the designated space. Over time, we internalize these voices. They live rent-free in our minds while slowly chipping away at our souls. Don't mess this up, don't waste this page, don't show this to anyone until it's ready, until it's perfect. But if we pause and listen carefully, those voices are just leftovers, and we're the ones who get to decide if we still want to carry them or not. If we look even deeper, perfectionism often has roots that go way beyond art. Sometimes it's tied to how we've been taught to measure our own worth. For example, in school, we're graded on how few mistakes we make. In the workplace, we're often rewarded for productivity and precision, not exploration. Even in families, some of us grew up with the unspoken rule that love or approval had to be earned by doing things the right way. Going to the right schools, getting the right job, the right spouse, living the right life. You get my point. So when we sit down to draw, all of this baggage follows us whether we know it or not. The blank page becomes more than paper. It becomes a test. And every line feels like it's being graded, even when no one is watching. The true cost of perfectionism isn't just the extra time we spend reworking the same thing. The real price is that it keeps us from growing. Think about your sketchbook, be it digital or traditional. If every page had to be perfect, how many pages would you actually fill? How much time would be wasted staring at the first blank page? I know I wouldn't get any pages done. And for a long time I didn't. When you allow yourself to make a messy sketch, awkward compositions, and drawings that don't look anything like the reference, you're not failing, you're building. You're stacking experiences that over time shape you into the kind of artist who can create with ease, flow, and with freedom. Perfectionism freezes us in place, but imperfect art is what moves us forward. Think about your favorite pieces of art for a second. Are they really that perfect, or do you love them because they resonate with you on a deeper level? because you can see past the brushstrokes, the quirks, the shapes, and somehow it still calls to you. Imperfections are where personality lives. When I look back at some of my old sketchbooks, I don't love them because the drawings are perfect or flawless. I love them because I can see the version of myself that existed back then, the mistakes I made and the risks I took, the way I kept going even when the proportions were wrong or the colors didn't bend to my will. So, how to actually let go of perfectionism? It's not as simple as flipping a switch. It's more like shifting the lens we look through. Instead of asking ourselves, is this perfect? Try to go with something like, this isn't perfect and it doesn't have to be. Or what did I learn here? Instead of, will people like this? Try, did I enjoy making this? Each time we choose a question that values growth and experiences over flawless results, we chip away at the hold perfectionism has on us. But remember, it takes time and it takes a lot of practice. Here are a few small steps that sometimes help me deal with it. Fill a page with quick sketches. Give yourself 2 minutes per drawing. No time to fix things, no time to erase, just pure, immediate lines. Gesture drawings are a great practice for this. Try to use materials that aren't too precious. Skip your precious sketchbook today, the one you're still saving at the bottom of your drawer since forever. Grab a cheap notebook, a pen you can't erase with, and just go crazy. When the stakes are lower, it's easier to relax. Deliberately make bad art. Try drawing with your non-dominant hand or sketch something blind without looking at the paper. It feels silly, but it retrains your brain to loosen its grip on control. And try to share the messy pages. Not everything has to be portfolio worthy. Sharing your rough sketches can remind you and others that art is a process, not a performance. These aren't tricks to bypass perfectionism. They're subtle ways of reminding our brains that mistakes are not disasters, they're teachers. But if we want to get philosophical, what if art was never meant to be perfect? In nature, rarely something is. Trees grow at odd angles, rivers don't flow in straight lines. Even our bodies carry asymmetry. And yet we call all of this beautiful. So why should our art be any different? Why should we demand perfection from ourselves when the world around us is so magical in its imperfection? Maybe letting go of perfectionism is accepting the crooked paths, the awkward beginnings, and the rough drafts, and to see them not as failures but as necessary parts of the whole picture. So the next time you sit down with your sketchbook or your tablet, and that little perfectionist voice starts whispering nonsense in your ear, pause for a moment and remind yourself this page doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to exist first. Because the art that changes us, the art that lingers in our minds and makes us feel alive, is never perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. So let's fill our pages with messy lines, crooked proportions, and colors that don't always blend perfectly. Hope you enjoyed the process of this fairy, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.